Allison, this is Megan doing a camera check.
This is the moderator. I hear you and see you. You're all set. And I believe that's everybody, Chair Reese. Chair
Christy,
Isbell.
are set to move forward?
We are all set. I was just going to make a quick announcement that we are going to have to cancel our next committee meeting as we just lost our quorum. So that is our DEI committee meeting that was going to start immediately after this meeting. That meeting will be canceled.
Okay. Okay, we have quorum in this committee. Should we begin?
Yes, we are all ready.
All right, Christy, can you call roll?
Will do. Reese Isbell,
Here.
Megan Ellis, Colette Kavanaugh,
Here.
and Callie Mae Pham.
Good morning here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The next item is the discussion and possible approval of the meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Member Pham. I make a motion to approve minutes from our last meeting.
Member Pham, can you turn up your volume a bit?
I apologize. I was looking at the meetings. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 25th, 2024 meeting.
Do we have a second?
This is Member Kavanaugh. I second.
All right, thank you. And now we can open it up for public comment.
There is no comment here in the room.
In that case, we are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our mobile device users, please hit the ellipses button. That's the ... if you're having trouble finding your hand button. You have 3 different pages and only one of them has your hand. We're going to give you just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
We can close public comment now. Okay, so we can call the roll to vote on this motion.
All right. Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
and Callie Mae Pham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. We'll move to the next agenda item, which is our update on the bills. Christy, can you give us an overview?
I sure will. We have a lot to go through today. We will start with AB 1328, which is just an update for this committee. This is the the Cosmetology Interstate Compact. This bill has not been set for hearing yet. We do anticipate it being set for hearing in the Senate Business and Professions Committee. However, it is not set at this time, so we will continue to monitor that. Any questions on this bill, AB 1328? All right, well, we'll go ahead and move to the next bill. Let me just get there. The next bill is AB 2166. This is the bill authored by Assemblymember Weber. This bill is regarding hair types and textures. The board has a support position on this bill that they took back in the at the February board meeting. This bill is moving through the process. It's currently, I believe it's currently on the assembly floor and is expected. It moved through the assembly, I believe on consent in every committee. So this bill should make its way to the Senate soon.
Terrific, thank you.
All right, our next bill is AB 2412. This is a bill that we were watching on the California Body Contouring Council. This bill has not been amended. However, there is a hearing tomorrow in Assembly B&P, And we do anticipate that it might be amended tomorrow. The bill analysis that the committee has prepared does make recommended amendments that places this bill, well, places how body contouring is defined into our act. So it puts it into the scope of practice of cosmetology and estheticians. I think it's important to know that when we talk about this bill and the term body contouring, it is slightly different than what we are used to seeing in our disciplinary review committee. We see a lot of individuals performing body contouring with cavitation machines, with cryotherapy. Those would still be considered practice of medicine. This bill defines the practice of body slimming with use of LED, wood tools, so wood therapy, and different types of body sauna wraps and enzyme scrubs. So it is a little different. And I just want to let the committee know that because we see so much body contouring in our disciplinary review committee. We haven't really seen a lot of body contouring in these types of modalities. The ones we're seeing are definitely a higher strength of contouring that is being offered out by some of our licensees, which is considered the practice of medicine. So the amendments obviously are not in writing. We have not heard from the author's office if those amendments will be accepted. I do have a call later today with the sponsors of this bill. So hopefully we will have more information soon. But as it stands right now, the recommendations from the committee's analysis is to place this into our statutes.
Thank you very much. Do we have, depending on the amendments, passage or non-passage tomorrow, do we have a different perspective on where it might go?
I don't at this time.
Okay.
I'm not sure how this, how that would go through the process.
And then, will we be discussing this at the board meeting?
We will.
Okay, so we can get an update on whatever happens tomorrow. And then discuss from there the recommendations that we have following tomorrow's activity.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So at this point, we'll continue to watch. It's important to continue to, it's a lengthy bill and analysis, but it's important for us to keep in mind. And then obviously at the board meeting on May 6th, we can try to provide an update to the fuller board and see if they want to change the position from watch or just continue to watch. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, thank you, Chrissy.
All right. We will move on to the next bill, which is AB 2444. And that is the bill that the board had a position on of oppose. That has since been amended. This bill was amended on April 9th. This is the bill that previously required sort of a continuing education type of format for kind of directed at manicurists, but the way the bill was written, it required all of our licensees to do a type of video at the time of renewal. This bill has now been amended, and as written today, the bill's basically requiring us to put our basic labor laws as part of the application. Today, we have a link to that basic labor laws. So on our applications and in our automated renewals, there's a link that there's a attestation that says you are signing that, for lack of, I'm not going to say it exactly, but it says you are signing to basically say that you understand the basic labor laws provided on the board's website. And then we provide the link that they can go to and look at the board's basic labor laws that have been created. That document on our website is currently 16 pages. It's obviously a very attractive looking document. So we recently took out all the pictures and the little side call outs to look at how long the items would be if it was just a text document that we would have to incorporate into our applications. And it's still only reduced it by, I believe, 2 pages. So we're looking at adding the way the bill is written and the way we read it is this bill would extend our applications by 14 pages. Our current establishment application is 10 pages today. So obviously we get a lot of paper establishment applications, even though we offer it online. This is going to make our establishment application go from 10 pages to 24 pages. And that is what somebody will have to print at home and then mail in to us. Obviously, there's a significant cost to somebody who is going to have to do that at home. And again, we offer an online portion, but a lot of establishment owners prefer to fill out their forms on paper. As for our individual licensees, those are all 4 pages right now. And so those would then increase to, I'm sorry, they're 5 pages right now. So they would increase from 5 to about 21 pages. And we don't get as many on paper ones for our individual ones, but we do get quite a lot. One of the things to always remember with our board is our volume of work. So we receive an annual average of 14,200 paper examination applications and 34,000 paper establishment applications. So the cost is significant. We have projected a fiscal impact of this bill as amended at a little over $608,000 on an annual basis. So that is the printing, the postage that will, obviously our postage is going to drastically go up because we send a renewal notice to everyone. So we do have some concerns still from a staffing perspective on the amount of paper that this bill would require. Now, we have talked to the sponsors of the bill, and they believe they can get that basic labor laws down to 2 to 3 pages. We don't know exactly what this bill considers basic labor laws because we haven't been able to look at what they want to go into our applications or what we currently have. So we had to do basic labor laws some time ago, and that's the document that is on our website right now that is 16 pages. We feel everything that's in that document is still important. This bill also places in our statute laws that are completely specific to the Department of Industrial Relations. I've personally never seen that where the actual law has nothing to do with us, but it is specific to a completely different department. I brought that up with the sponsor, and I believe that needs to be placed in the laws of the Department of Industrial Relations. So again, this is still a significant cost. Even if we reduce it to 3 pages, we're still looking at $75,000 to $80,000 a year. And that is concerning to us. In our recent survey, we ask everybody at renewal time if they're an independent contractor or not. And that is, we had a survey where we had a little over 97,000 people respond, and 35% of those individuals said they were independent contractors. So that's 35% of that number this won't even apply to. So I have concerns with the cost of the board and with the costs to our licensees that we are providing all this additional information, not in a link, but in actual paper forms, so that, and there's going to be some that it doesn't even apply to. That is my concerns. I expressed the concerns to the sponsor's office as well. They obviously make some very valid points with their intent of what they would like to do. The sunset date for the manicuring program is when with AB 5 that came into place several years ago, there was a sunset date or an exemption for manicurists, and that sunset date is ending January 1. And this is going to, obviously the manicurists are going to be treated very differently than the rest of our licensees who are exempt from the and I hope I'm getting that right actually. Because again, this is labor laws and it's increasing our scope and it's not our expertise. And we've already provided basic labor laws. Adding this information to our application is only going to increase calls and emails to our board, to our staff that we cannot answer, that we're going to have to say, you're going to have to call the labor office at the Department of Industrial Relations. We're struggling to answer our emails as it is today. Again, I understand they want to get this information out to manicurists and the sponsor feels this is the avenue to do it. I disagree. We can provide addresses and contact information to the DIR for them to provide this information to licensees. And I have expressed our willingness to provide all the social media we can to let our licensees know any changes that are happening. But the requirement for us to do it is a cost to us, and it's not within our purview of protecting consumers. And then lastly, I want to mention that the bill also requires us to collaborate with the Department of Industrial Relations on social media posts. And to me, that's just going to bottleneck our social media posts. The Department of Industrial Relations, who I will be talking to later this week, I have not talked to them about this bill, just was able to get in contact with them late Friday, and we'll be getting their input on how they feel about this bill this week, but I don't have that yet. But it's requiring us to collaborate on social media posts. The Department of Industrial Relations, I believe, is one of the largest departments in the state. And we are doing quite well with our social media posts. And I just see this as a bottleneck into delaying anything that we could just do on our own. So again, the intent is there. They want to get this information out. They want to get information out that is information from the Department of Industrial Relations. And I think it should be their responsibility, not our board, and not at the cost of our licensees who this has no impact to.
Thank you, Christy. I have a few questions and thoughts. The DIR, is there a commission that oversees them?
They have a director. They have a lot under their umbrella of Department of Industrial Relations. For instance, they have the Division of Apprenticeship Standards that we work with on apprenticeship sponsors. They have the Labor Commissioner's Office. So I don't know their full structure, but I do know they have a director, and I do know that they have these other very large organizations under that umbrella.
And have they or the Labor Commissioner had any comments on this?
Not that I'm aware of, but I did get, I reached out to my contact at, that helps us on our Health and Safety Committee from OSHA, and they connected me with the Deputy Director for Legislation. So I'll be having my first conversation with them this week.
Okay, great. I'm looking at the analysis that's on the Assembly website for the full analysis from the committee, and there's a long list of support from groups, and then we're the opposition. And so, but I'm seeing in the long list of organizations, I'm not really seeing labor. I'm seeing there's, I think, one labor group here, and I'm just wondering if we've heard anything from the labor community about this other than through these particularly API and immigration organizations.
No, we have not heard anything other than just we've had a couple of discussions with the sponsors of the bill.
Okay. I'm a little curious why we're not hearing from labor on this. Generally, I would think that they would want to either support or oppose or provide amendments or something. That's no here nor there. It's just something I'm thinking through. The other thought I had is clearly from the analysis, in particular from the intent from the author, um, there is a good intent here in particularly reaching the Vietnamese population in these communities, particularly Silicon Valley and in Orange County, and throughout our industry. I'm wondering if there's a way that we could work with them on, providing specific contact to the Vietnamese community versus trying to do the entire community of our licensees. I'm just wondering, since that seems to be the aim here, in particular, maybe targeted, directed kind of social network. You were mentioning, using our social networks or other kinds of targeting that wouldn't necessarily involve the full state's cost. If that might be something that they would view as helpful in understanding the high costs that this will cost us monetarily, but also within our time and duties.
I think that's definitely something I could bring up in my discussion this week with the DIR representative. We have in the past. In the past, we have held town hall meetings. They've usually been at the request of a senator or assembly member, but we've done, town hall meetings down in Orange County with Senator Wynn's office, where DIR and myself have both been present, and they've been very well received. There's definitely ways we could expand doing that to reach the community who this impacts most.
Have we done anything with Assemblyman Lee?
We have not.
That might be something we could offer as well, since he's sponsoring this. I mean, I totally understand the intent of this,
Right.
and I totally understand. And there's a lot of good groups in support of this that I'm in favor of that are doing good work out there in the world. But I do have concerns from our department perspective of what we can handle, and also reaching the supportive conclusion that the authors are looking for, rather than printing out 20 pages for every person in the state kind of thing. Anyway, those are my questions and thoughts. I'm happy to hear from other members.
Hello, this is Member Kavanaugh. I really thank you, Christy, for giving such a thoughtful breakdown of everything, because I like seeing both sides of how you were describing this particular bill. I kind of feel that as an industry person who does not have employees and will probably never have an employee, for me, it's kind of, again, a waste of paper. And I also kind of, again, it's not something that this board is really known to do for labor laws. Like you were saying, it's industrial relations. And so my biggest concern would be the cost, the resources, and if this is something that's going to be required, are we going to be able to be a subject matter expert in it? No. So people, even though the intent's there, how are we really going to be able to help people if we are not the subject matter experts in it? So I appreciate the intent, but I feel like it's not something that would fall under our scope. But I do like that the board here is very collaborative, and that we are looking for avenues to kind of help in other ways, like with, maybe more town halls or something. So for me, it seems like this is more of like an outreach thing within different organizations to kind of help people in the industry, as opposed to like the board being kind of like a control agency over it or something. So at this point, I'm really curious to hear what the conversations with industrial relations goes. but it doesn't, again, doesn't seem to fall under our scope of protecting the public. And yeah, I again, most people I know in the industry don't have employees. And I also wonder how many people are going to actually read those extra 20 pages. Like if they're actually going to be like, oh yeah, okay, whatever, where do I sign? And they'll just throw the rest of it away. So I'm kind of like, is it really going to have that much of an impact, even if it's added onto an app? So those are just my thoughts.
Thank you.
Thanks, Member Kavanaugh. Um, I want to echo a lot of the statements that have already kind of been discussed. My biggest struggle here is it doesn't feel, and I understand the approach that the author and all the supporting groups have taken, and I understand the relationship that we have with the establishment owners, which may be better than any other entity, but it doesn't feel like it's what this is the solution that is getting at what we're trying to do here. Sending extra paper, and I'm loath to think that the answer is send more paper for, going forward. That doesn't feel like that can't be the answer. But also, I agree that people, if these obligations exist, if people are not aware of it, it is because they are not reading what they're supposed to. And so I'm not convinced that sending them the paper will change that in any way. And so I feel like there has to be something else that we can do. I really want to hear back from the DIR and what their thoughts are. If this is their area of expertise, what have they done? What has worked for them in the past? Us kind of going just spitballing when again, this is not our area and we don't know what's the best way to both communicate the information and measure compliance or know whether it's working. We don't have any of that data or information. And so it seems like we are at a disadvantage for trying to craft a solution when we don't have the information from DIR. So I would want to know that before changing, or even I can see the board, readdressing it, but I would have to know the information from the DIR first, even before even as for today, suggesting, a change in our position. I think we don't have complete information or enough information to change anything today. But again, it really troubles me that the current solution is so broad and not tailored to what is the ultimate goal. It's just making sure that this information actually reaches who we want it to reach. I don't feel like we're there yet, and I would love to more collaboration. And I don't want to push this issue aside and say, okay, well, we can't figure it out and just move on. But as is, the proposal right now, which is again, send more paper. I just don't think that's the right approach. So I would love to hear more information, ideas from DRIR. What can they do? Can they take some responsibility for these concerns, especially given, again, we are not an enforcement agency. If these things are being violated, it's not like we can come in and be the one who to enforce it or ensure that these laws are being complied with. And so the messaging, I don't know if it makes sense for it to primarily come from us or for us to take the lead on educating our licensees, our establishment owners. So I think all of that is to say is I just don't feel like I have enough information today. I need to hear from what DIR thinks.
Thank you, Member Fan. Member Ellis, do you have anything?
Yes, so I would say that the reason we possibly haven't heard from DIR is it's a very busy time legislatively speaking for state agencies. This is when spring finance letters are due, and they're preparing for May revise, so that may be why they haven't issued a comment, considering it was recently amended. But I'll greatly look forward to hearing back from you, Christy, on how your meeting with DIR goes. I agree. It's one of our biggest complaints that we always receive, specifically from establishment owners, is the amount of paperwork that they're required to post within their establishments. And I just worry that this will be another piece of paperwork that they'll have to sort of wallpaper their establishment with. So I'll look forward to hearing what DIR has to say.
Thank you. Do we do we have this on the agenda for the board meeting?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good. So we can get an update and try to give the board a little bit more background of what we know. I also don't have a interest in changing our position at this time, but I'm happy that we are going through this detailed discussion around it so that we can be more informed. And we did get some good public comment last month on this, and that's been very helpful to us. Do we have, speaking of outreach, do we have in any kind of specific outreach to the Vietnamese community or the API community through our department now, like through specific messengers or language? Or you mentioned a town hall. Is it done in Vietnamese, that kind of thing?
We have in the past, and we've also worked with various, in the Vietnamese community specifically, we've worked with Vietnamese media in the past quite a bit. We have not recently, but we definitely have contacts.
What I'm thinking, again, along the lines of what I mentioned earlier about outreach to the community, it could be we could also talk to the author about, you know, upgrading our community outreach or something like that, or if they want to provide some funding through this for a specific outreach person in our department that could have those kinds of conversations more within the community and not within paperwork. Um, I, those are ideas.
And I would agree. And I think we are always willing to do as much outreach as possible. It's just that we wouldn't be able to provide outreach on labor laws.
Okay. But that's what they're asking us to do now. So um, if we were to hire someone who did this outreach, would that would be through DIR?
Right. DIR, it would be responsible to do that, to provide that outreach.
Okay. I'm just thinking through ideas.
I
But
agree with you, Reese. I think again, this core issue of how do we reach, how do we get the information to the people who need to hear it? We definitely, that is where we should be setting our focus and being more collaborative, is how do we do more to actually again target the population that needs the information, and leaving it. And I kind of want to circle back to the original idea of, because we're talking about paper. I know the original proposal was for a video,
Right.
and that, we weren't, that's not paper, but again, it doesn't address to me the same issue, which is how do we know anyone is actually reading or following their obligations to take this information in, right? The only, so it makes more sense to me is how do we be more interactive about it? How do we have a dialogue about it as a way of encouraging people to look at the information, and if they have questions to kind of talk back about it? And I understand our staff are not, best situated to provide this information. So what can we do collaboratively with the community, with DIR, and show, present a united front that we all agree that this is very important, but that we again continue to work on this issue of targeting the information and making sure that it's actually being received, rather than just kind of sending the information out and then just hoping that people read it. Because I think we're all aware enough of human nature that it seems that is unlikely if we compare costs to the likelihood of success of just sending out information and hoping people read it or watching a video. I think that that's not, I'm not convinced that that's the best way. So yeah, those are where my thoughts at it. I do think that it is complicated, and something that we should continue to look at. And I wish I had a more concrete things to offer, but that's where my thoughts are. They're kind of, I'm thinking all the different kind of angles and issues that we have here, and whether these proposed solutions are going to do what we're hoping that they will do. So thank you.
Yeah, and you know, the proposed fiscal impact of $600,000 or more, that could hire a lot of outreach people in the Department of Industrial Relations that could do that kind of work more directly, rather than paperwork in our department that doesn't get read. Okay, so I think we're all in here on this. I think because we're in such a lengthy conversation about this, I'd like to open it up to any public comment that might be out there right now on this specific bill, and then we'll have public comment on the full legislative piece at the end of this agenda item. Can we open it up if there's any public comment?
No one in person.
All right, we are open for public comment via WebEx. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial-in users dial *3 to raise a hand. And for our mobile device users, if you're having trouble finding that hand button, you may need to hit the ... at the bottom, the ellipses button, in order to find your hand. We're going to wait just a few more seconds before we continue. And we have a request for public comment. Fred Jones, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak, and I'll give you a 15-second warning before your time expires. I'm going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good morning, all. Fred Jones with the Professional Beauty Federation of California. I've enjoyed the conversation. I think everyone in this meeting supports the author's intent. But if there's one law that best summarizes my 32 plus years of working in the lawmaking business in Sacramento, it's the law of unintended consequences. And so you shouldn't be fearful to stand up and say, look, I can agree with the intent, but there's unintended consequences that could flow that could be very costly. And so I think your position remaining opposed is an appropriate one. We have a slightly different, or should I say additional reason for opposing the bill. We think this is a matter of equity, and we don't think the manicuring industry should be treated differently than the hair and skin sectors of our industry, and therefore they should continue to enjoy the same exemption from the ABC test as the other two sectors. Barring that, we think that the sunset date should at least be extended another year or two to provide time for DIR to educate the nail sector about their exemption going away and the need to basically classify all of their nail techs as employees. That's a major shift. We don't believe that's possible by January coming up, and we think that's going to be a train wreck. And so there should be more time to educate this particular sector if the exemption is going to expire. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from Catherine Porter. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for just now getting into the meeting. For some reason, I was thinking this meeting started at 10 o'clock. So I assume you're discussing AB 2444? Okay, great. So again, my name is Catherine Porter. I'm the policy consultant for the California Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative. The goal of AB 2444 is to ensure that BBC licensees know and understand their rights and obligations under labor law, such as the proper classification of employee status, minimum wage, and the right to sick pay. We are here to ask that this committee recommend to the full board that it support the bill, or in the alternative, take a neutral position. And we know that currently BBC does have a neutral position. You probably know that since you last convened, AB 2444 has been significantly amended so that the Department of Industrial Relations takes on more of the mandated activities, and BBC is significantly relieved of burdens previously placed on it by the bill. So currently, 2444 requires of the BBC only the following: to insert into its application and renewal forms a 2 to 3 pager, just 2 to 3 pages on basic labor law. DIR will develop that language. And the other requirement on BBC in the bill now is to post bits of information on basic labor law in already existing newsletter or social media posts, just twice a year. Now, already the agency rightly concerns itself with issues beyond the strict limitation of its mission. A good example of this is BBC's No Violence in Beauty webpage, where various resources on domestic and sexual violence are provided. And we hope that BBC will look at labor law issues as similarly important to the welfare of its licensees. When workers are treated well by owners, the beauty and barber industry is more likely to thrive and be a healthy one for consumers. We continue to be in conversation with BBC staff. We hope that the BBC can continue to be a partner in the effort to ensure that its individual licensees can enjoy fair and just workplaces. I want to repeat that this bill does not change the law regarding employee status. It only wants to make sure that the nail salon community and owners that are impacted by the
15
change
seconds.
of law beginning January 2025 know about the law. So just to reiterate that, because we continue to hear that objection to this bill. So thank you very much for your time. And again, we hope that the BBC, Christy Underwood has been great, will continue to work with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're going to hear from the California Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative, and they will be translating for three manicurists who want to provide public comment. This will be 3 separate comments. All right, bear with me just a moment. Sending you a request to unmute your microphones.
Hi, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Tôi tên Kiều Anh Đỗ. Tôi là thợ nail được 9 năm. Tôi đến đây để chia sẻ về hành trình của mình.
Hello everyone, I'm Q Endo. I have been a manicurist for almost 9 years and I'm here to share my journey with you.
Tôi đã đến trường thẩm mỹ trong 400 giờ để nhận được giấy phép làm móng, vì công việc này giúp cho tôi giờ giấc linh hoạt để tôi có thể đưa con đến trường và chăm sóc gia đình. Tuy nhiên tôi bị nhận 1099 mặc dù tôi muốn là nhân viên WQ.
I went to cosmetology school for 400 hours to receive my license as a manicurist because this position offered flexible hours so I could take my kids to school and take care of my family. However, I was misclassified as 1099 even though I was a W-2 employee.
Công việc rất mất thời gian, công sức và ảnh hưởng đến sức khỏe của tôi rất nhiều vì hóa chất trong sản phẩm làm móng. Tôi đã đi đến bác sĩ và phòng cấp cứu rất nhiều do chứng bệnh đau nửa đầu thường xuyên và các vấn đề về sức khỏe khác cũng như là mắt và da. Tuy nhiên tôi chưa bao giờ có thời gian được nghỉ lễ và để đi khám bệnh.
The job can be stressful and labor intensive, which took a toll on my health. Because of the chemicals in the nail products, I went to the doctor in emergency room a lot due to frequent migraines and other health issues. However, I never had paid time off to go to the doctor.
Trước khi làm nhân viên làm móng, tôi làm công ty sản xuất được 11 năm và tôi có cả quyền lợi nghỉ phép, nghỉ lễ, nghỉ ốm và bảo hiểm rủi ro về sức khỏe. Với kinh nghiệm người đã làm công ty, tôi mong cải tiến thêm cho các nhân viên làm móng.
Before I worked as a manicurist, I worked at a factory for 11 years as an employee and had benefits like holidays, vacation time, and health insurance, so I know what it's like to have health benefits. It is important for nail salon workers and owners to have the same benefits that they deserve in the workplace.
Dự luật AB 2444 cần được thông qua cho chủ tiệm và người thợ được biết tất cả quyền lợi của họ, cùng chủ tiệm phải tuân theo.
AB 2444 needs to be passed for owners and all manicures because it will help empower workers to know their rights and also support owners to understand and follow labor laws.
Tôi yêu cầu ủy ban này đề xuất với các bộ hội đồng quản trị rằng nên ủng hộ dự luật. Cảm ơn thời gian và sự quan tâm của các bạn. Thank you so much.
I ask that this committee support this AB 2444 bill, and thank you for listening to my story. Okay.
Thank
Hello,
you.
good morning.
Go ahead with your second person.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Tôi
Good
tên là
morning.
Trish Huỳnh. Tôi làm nail được 7 năm và sở hữu một tiệm nail được 5 năm.
My name is Trish Nguyen. I am a manicurist for 7 years and owned a nail salon for 5 years.
Sau khi đến Mỹ vào năm 2004, tôi theo học ESL và cần tìm một công việc linh hoạt với lịch học của mình. Tôi trở thành thợ làm móng và giờ làm việc được linh động với các đồng nghiệp rất ủng hộ và đối xử tốt với tôi.
After coming to the US in 2004, I was in ESL school and needed to find a job that was flexible with my school schedule. I became a manicurist because of the flexible hours, and my coworkers were so supportive and nice to me.
Sau khi làm thợ móng được 7 năm, tôi phải nghỉ một thời gian vì chuẩn mắc bệnh ung thư. Tôi bắt đầu gặp các triệu chứng nghiêm trọng và sau đó được chẩn đoán mắc bệnh ung thư tử cung. Trong thời gian tôi đang điều trị, tôi nhận ra rằng tôi đã bị phân loại sai 1099 và không đủ điều kiện để nhận các lợi ích của nhân viên như nghỉ phép y tế có lương.
I worked as a manicurist for 7 years and was exposed to a lot of harsh and harmful chemicals. I started experiencing severe symptoms and was later diagnosed with uterine cancer. While I was going through treatment, I realized that I was misclassified as a 1099 employee and did not qualify for employee benefits such as paid medical leave.
Sau khi đánh bại hoàn toàn căn bệnh ung thư, tôi đã quay trở lại với tư cách một người chủ. Bây giờ tôi có thể hiểu rằng việc hiểu luật lao động là điều quan trọng đối với cả thợ lẫn chủ làm móng. Những người lao động như tôi không được phải đối mặt với những rào cản trong việc nhận được dịch vụ chăm sóc sức khỏe là quan trọng.
After I fully beat cancer, I returned back to the industry as an owner. I could understand now that understanding labor laws is important for both manicurists and owners so that workers like me don't have to face barriers such as misclassification and lack of important benefits.
AA 2444 cần được thông qua cho nhân viên và chủ tiệm nail vì nó sẽ cho nhân viên biết quyền lợi và họ cùng chủ tiệm hiểu tuân theo luật lao động.
AB 2444 will help employer workers to know their rights and support owners to understand and follow labor laws, resulting in a safe and healthy business for customers.
Chúng tôi có thể được ủng hộ của bạn cho dự luật này không? Cảm ơn thời gian và sự quan tâm của bạn.
Will the committee be able to support this bill? Thank you for your support and thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and you have a third person as well?
Yes, she's coming right here.
Okay. Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Tôi tên là Joanne Nguyễn. Tôi là nhân viên tiệm nail làm việc tại Los Angeles.
Hello everyone. My name is Joanne Nguyen. I am a nail salon worker in Los Angeles.
Tôi đã làm móng được hơn 8 năm. Tôi tin rằng tôi làm tốt công việc của mình vì tôi thật sự yêu thích và đánh giá cao sự khéo léo cũng như sự quan tâm mà tôi dành cho công việc đã giúp tôi giữ chân khách hàng.
I have been a manicurist for over 8 years. I believe I am good at my work because I truly enjoy and appreciate the craftsmanship and care I put into it, which helps me retain my customers.
Mặc dù tôi là công nhân W2, tôi biết rằng có rất nhiều công nhân bị phân loại sai và bị lợi dụng vì thiếu hiểu biết về quyền lợi của người lao động.
Even though I am a W-2 worker, I know that many workers are misclassified and taken advantage of because of the lack of understanding of their rights.
Khi tôi gọi điện với các đồng nghiệp Liên hiệp móng tay, chúng tôi đã gọi hơn 1.500 thợ làm móng về việc nghỉ ốm và có lương. 77% trong số họ không được nghỉ ốm có lương. Không chắc nơi làm việc của họ có cung cấp chế độ này hay không, hoặc đơn giản là không biết và hỏi nghỉ ốm có lương là gì.
When I phone bank with the California Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative, we called over 1,500 manicurists about paid sick leave. 77% of them did not have paid sick leave, were not sure if it was offered at their job, or simply did not know and asked what is paid sick leave.
Dù các thợ làm móng muốn tiếp tục làm móng nhưng vẫn có những rào cản khiến họ không có thể được một nơi làm việc và sự nghiệp thoải mái, chẳng hạn như tiếp xúc với hóa chất độc hại và phúc lợi. Đây là lý do sao tôi mong muốn có những phúc lợi mà nhân viên tiệm làm móng có thể dựa vào, như những phúc lợi có sẵn trong các ngành nghề khác, như được ngày nghỉ và ngày nghỉ có lương, cũng như bảo hiểm y tế.
It is important that everyone understands their labor rights as nail salon workers and owners to be able to access their benefits like those available in other professions, like sick days and paid vacation days, and also have health insurance.
Tôi ủng hộ AB 2444 để người lao động cũng như chủ sở hữu sẽ có một nguồn tài nguyên bằng ngôn ngữ cần thiết để được đào tạo về luật lao động cập nhật nhằm cải thiện điều kiện làm việc của tất cả trong các ngành làm móng. Tôi hy vọng rằng Ủy ban sẽ ủng hộ dự luật này. Thank you so much.
I support AB 24444 so that workers and owners alike will have the language resources needed to receive training on up-to-date labor laws. When workers are treated better, it creates a better workplace experience for customers too. I hope that this committee recommends to the full board to support this bill. Thank you. And that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to hear from Faith Lee. Hold on just a moment. We're going to send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Awesome, I appreciate you. My name is Faith Lee. Good morning, everyone. I'm with Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Southern California. We are an organization that is a direct service provider. We reach 16,000 clients and community members annually, and we are also a co-sponsor of AB 2444. I'm calling today to urge the committee to support this bill because it would help the board licensees and establishment owners to receive in-language information on change of AB 5 law that will soon apply to many of you licensees and establishment owners. We support this bill because there's a significant amount of limited English proficient workers in the beauty industry. Information about the change of AB 5 law could be life-changing for many of these workers. We believe this bill could help many workers get their hands on critical labor law information, especially in language materials. The board, since its inception, has reached and built much needed trust with over 100,000 manicurists in California in various languages. We respect your commitment to continue ensuring these LEP workers have in-language materials so they can serve our consumers safely and diligently. We think that the board would be one of the most trusted messengers to share this change of law information created by DIR. We hope to have your board as our ally to continue ensuring California workers and consumers can thrive. Lastly, I want to thank board staff Carrie and Christy for your commitment in working with us and your time, continue working with us to make this bill implementable. I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was our last request for public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any new people in the room or are we done?
No one here. Thanks.
Thank you. We can close public comment on this issue when at the end of this agenda item, we'll have public comment on all the legislation if anyone wants to speak regarding that. This will be on our agenda at the board meeting on May 6th. It will be physically held in Burbank. So if anyone in Southern California would like to stop by and comment on this bill next month on May 6th, when we're there for our board meeting for that discussion, you're more than welcome to. For anyone who missed our larger discussion, we did have quite a bit of a discussion before the public comment. So you might want to following this, check out our minutes or watch the video so you can get a little bit more background on what we were discussing during our meeting. And again, we'll talk more about this piece of legislation at the board meeting coming up. Christy, I believe we can move to the next item or the next bill.
All right. This next bill has not been seen by the board or committee at this time. This is AB 2862. This is a departmental-wide bill. This bill would require boards to prioritize African-American applicants seeking licenses under certain provisions. And this bill would have a fiscal impact to our board and would also have a performance measure impact to our board. We obviously, again, anytime we talk about barbering and cosmetology, we have to talk about our volume. For us to prioritize applications takes a lot of work because we have so many applications that we receive on a daily basis. So we would need additional staff to be able to implement this bill. We are projecting a minimum of $427,000 to be able to have the staff that would require this. There's a lot of concerns about this bill. For one, it doesn't specify how we would prove this information. Just to clarify, this bill it requires us to prioritize African-American applicants who are descended from a person enslaved in the United States. So the bill doesn't specify how we would prove that. So given our volume, we would have to somehow come up with a method to prioritize once determined of those, how we would prove that. It would bump everybody even further back. So our concern is that our processing times would greatly be impacted. And then, of course, we don't have the staff currently that would be required to perform this prioritization of our high volume of applications. So at this time, excuse me, at this time, there is no position that the board has taken. So this committee is welcome to discuss and choose if they want to recommend a position to the board at our next meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, I think in our last meeting, we discussed a watch position on this for now. I don't know that we have any change on that. I would like to hear more from what happens in the upcoming committee meetings before our board meeting on this. My thought is similar to our last bill, which would be the money might better go to an outreach person or people who could do that kind of work rather than putting the onus on internal department work. But that said, anyone have any comments on this, members? Okay, hearing none. Christy, we can move to the next one.
Okay, and just an added note on that, that bill did actually pass out of the Assembly Business and Professions Committee and is on its way to the Judiciary Committee, and that hearing is on tomorrow. So we'll have a little more updates as this is moving through at the board meeting.
Great, thank you.
All right, our next bill is AB 817. That was a 2-year bill that the board previously supported. It hasn't moved yet. It does have our hairstylist cleanup language on the fee in that. Nothing to report new at this time. We will see if that bill starts to move.
Okay, any comments from anyone on this? We'll move to the next bill.
The next bill is SB 1084. This is just a final update to this committee that this bill, the author is not pursuing this bill. This was a deregulation bill of the hairstylist license, and we have confirmed that the author will not be pursuing this bill.
Thank you.
And lastly is SB 1451, which I do not believe this committee has seen. This bill has the exact same language on our hairstylist fee cleanup language that is in SB 817. We would recommend that this committee recommend a position of support to the board. It's cleanup language. It's on the Senate side, and we will continue to watch it go through the process, but it is the same language as that was in SB 817, and it is language that we need, so we would recommend a support position.
Okay, and we have not made a position on this.
Correct.
Okay, members, do you have any comments or a recommendation to the board?
Sorry, Christy, could you give a little more information about why the language is the same, or why these exist in two different places? Or
Yes. So we had asked for this language as a cleanup to SB 803. When the language in SB 803 created the hairstylist license, the wording on the fee structure was not worded like all of our other licenses. In other words, our other licenses allow us to charge a fee that are the actual costs to the board. So we had asked for this just to be cleanup to make the hairstylist fee worded exactly like all of our other license types. Right now, we charge $50 and $50 only for a hairstylist license, and that does not cover our cost. It barely covers the examination fee only. So we need the structure to say that the board shall set an application and exam fee, and that the license fee shall be $50. So that's what we asked for. 817 was introduced as a Senate omnibus bill from the Senate B&P committee, and it's went through the Senate committee. It's sitting in the Assembly. It may move, it may not. As another way to get the language moving forward, the Senate B&P committee put the language in this bill as well.
thank you for that.
Yeah, so it in summary, this is similar to SB 817, which the board put a support position on in 2023, and we're looking at this to see if we have new comment on that, on this legislation being put into this other bill. Any other comments from members? Does anyone have a motion for a recommendation to the board?
This is Member Pham. I would move to recommend to the board that we support SB 1451.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
All right, thank you. Do we need to take public comment before we vote on that? Okay.
And there is none in the room.
Okay. Well, we'll open it up to public comment on this motion and this legislation, and then we'll have public comment on legislation as a whole shortly when this agenda item is over. All right, thank you.
All right, we are open for public comment on the motion. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users, dial *3 to raise a hand. And as a reminder to our mobile device users, if you are having trouble finding that hand button, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... at the bottom, and cycle through one of 3 pages. We're going to give everyone just a few more seconds now before we proceed. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue with the motion?
Yes, we can close public comment now. Christy, if you can call the roll.
Sure. Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
and Callie May Pham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Christy, are there any other bills we need to discuss today?
That is it today.
All right. Well, for this agenda item, we'll open it up for public comment on any of the bills that we've discussed. Is there anyone in the room, Christy?
There is no one in the room.
Okay. Can we open it up online?
We are open online for public comment on the entire agenda item. If you'd like to make a comment on any of the bills, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. Dial in users dial *3 to raise a hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests. We're going to take just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
All right. Thank you very much. We can close that and move to the next agenda item, which is public comment on items that are not on the agenda. So we can open it back up to anyone in the room or online.
And there is no one in the room.
Then we are open online. If you'd like to make a comment for items not on the agenda, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button. And for our mobile device users, if you're having trouble finding that hand button, hit the ellipses button. That's the ... in order to find your hand button. We're going to take a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, do you wish to continue with the agenda?
Yes, we can close public comment for now, move to the next agenda item, which is suggestions for future agenda items. Members? Hearing none there. Do we need public comment on this one?
Yes.
Okay, we'll open it up to public comment again on this agenda item of potential future agenda items.
And there is none in the room.
Do we have anyone online?
It might help if I unmute my microphone. My apologies.
That's all right, thank you.
We are once again open for public comment, this time for items and future agenda items. If you'd like to make a comment, please raise a hand by tapping that hand button at the bottom of the screen. For our mobile device users, you may need to hit the ellipses button. That's the ... in order to find your hand. We'll give you just a few seconds now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to continue?
Yes, please. And I think we can move to the next agenda item, which is adjournment. I appreciate everyone's input today, and I think we'll have a good basis for more discussion at the board meeting on May 6th.
Thank you. And just a final reminder for those on the call that we are canceling our next committee meeting, which is our DEI committee. We did have some updates for that committee. So if we're chiming in for that, please follow our website for our next scheduled meeting. And as we lost our quorum, that meeting will be canceled. And so we are done for the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.